Is One Piece film strong world canon? This has been a question that many people in the One Piece community have always asked and never really get a conclusive answer because it's a constant debate about whether or not this movie is canon or not. And for the most part, there's several reasons why so many people think it is canon, and that's because Oda wrote the entire film, and this has been, said by Oda himself, as well as Gold Lion Shiki, the antagonist of the film, actually appearing and being mentioned in the actual manga, which is the most canon piece of One Piece that there is. So, is One Piece film strong world canon? In this video, I'm going to try to answer this question to the best of my ability based on like what Oda has said, as well as, my own personal thoughts as well. So, whether or not you believe strong world is canon after this video or it is not is up to you. So please let me know in the comments if you believe strong world is canon or not, and it'll be fun discussing with you about it. So to begin, let's talk about like why so many people think that One Piece film strong world is canon. Like I mentioned before, Oda has written the entire film. He has been credited for this film. It's his original idea, his original script. Everything that he put into this movie came from his mind, came from his imagination. And he put it all into this film, right? A lot of people think that, because of that, the film is considered canon, right? However, according to Oda himself, he doesn't necessarily want you to use it as canon. If you wish to use it as canon, you can. This was, said by Oda in volume 109 SBS, where he essentially said that Shiki is a canon character, but the story, what happens in Strong World, it doesn't fit well with the main story. Why is that? Why doesn't it fit well in the main story? Well, there's a few things. One of them being that Gold Line Shiki, who has rival Gold Roger, Whitebeard, Garp, Prime Garp, gets beaten by Luffy, who is pre-time skip Luffy, who doesn't necessarily, is strong enough against like the admirals and stuff like that, right? So it wouldn't make any sense for him to beat Gold Line Shiki, right? It just like the consistency there doesn't really at all make sense. The other part that a lot of people have also mentioned is that this movie supposedly happens between Thriller Bark and Shabodi. In Thriller Bark, Zoro, has something or nothing happen to him that causes him to be in a lot of pain that we see in Shabodi when he's unable to really go, full on against Kuma before Kuma sends him away. So, in the movie, he doesn't have any of that pain. He doesn't have any of that restrictions, right? Why would he have a restriction in Shabodi but not in Strong World when he is actually going up against, enemies and stuff like that? So, part of that is also another reason why it just wouldn't fit into the main story. Another thing that Oda has mentioned recently in volume SBS 109 is that he really did not want to make the float fruit that Shiki has in the movie. And, now that he actually gave Shiki this, he kind of wishes he didn't because now he has to make it canon because he believes the float fruit is OP. And when you really think about it, in, the film Strong World, he's able to manipulate water, which is huge advantage for anyone who has a devil fruit. Like one of the weaknesses of the devil fruit is being able to not swim, right? He's not able to swim. They drown. They float like they not float, but they sink like anchors. So him being able to manipulate water is kind of insane ability. So that's why it's like OP, considered OP, right? So there's a lot of things that Oda has said in regards to the movie that just doesn't make it necessarily canon. But then Shiki is canon because we did see Shiki in the manga, in the God's Valley flashback. We see him there going up against Gold Roger and Garp. We also hear mentions of him, such as Impelled Down, where he becomes the first person to ever escape Impelled Down by cutting off his legs. So Shiki is canon, but the movie isn't canon? That doesn't make any sense, right? Well, I think the best answer I can give you that could explain this is that this is a what-if scenario. A what-if situation. What if the Straw Hats encountered Shiki while he's trying to do what his master plan was? That's what you should view this movie as, a what-if scenario. Because at the end of the day, movies that are based off anime are there just to make money. right? To bring people to the movies, to bring excitement. And it did. It actually honestly did. It was one of the movies that Oda has painted to say that it helped popularize One Piece even more. So it is definitely a type of movie that really got people to go and watch. And honestly, it is a what if movie because, again, like I explained, it wouldn't make any sense for Luffy to be able to beat Shiki, who was on par with Roger and stuff like that. Sure, you could say that he was weakened because he cut off his leg, but he still has an OP devil fruit like the Flow fruit that he could have. He could have literally killed Luffy. If you really look at the movie, there was no reason for Shiki to push Luffy out of the goddamn water. Just leave him in there, and he would have died, and Shiki would have won. That is where he gets nerfed. That's where Shiki gets nerfed. So it's kind of insane. But it's, at the end of the day, it is a what if situation movie. The same way all the other One Piece films are what if situations. If it's a movie that has Oda's heavy influence on, for example, Strong World, written by Oda, or, his heavy influence on, One Piece film Red, he's going to make certain characters canon in the main story. But the situations, the events that happen in the movie are what if. What if the Straw Hats met this character, during their adventure? How would, what would they do? How would that all play out? And essentially, that's it. It's just a what if scenario. The characters are canon. We see, in Film Red, Uta, the villain, Uta appears as a silhouette, meaning that she did exist in the One Piece world, right? We don't know what happened to her, but she does exist in there. Shiki is the same way. These characters exist. These characters are canon in the world, but the situations in the movie, the events, nah. It is not canon because it just wouldn't fit with the main story, and that is what Oda explained in Volume 109 SBS, right? You could claim it to be canon if you wish, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't fit with the main story. And I think a lot of people should understand this in a way because it's like there's so many things that we get from the movies that essentially become canon, such as Laugh Tale. Instead of being Wrath Tale, it's Laugh Tale. We get that in One Piece film Stampede, and so all of this stuff, all this canon stuff that eventually bleeds into the manga, that is canon. That is actually, material that Oda, wants to insert into his story, into the main story. But the events that occur in these movies are not. Because it just also wouldn't make sense in One Piece film Stampede where all these characters show up at this pirate festival when they're all in different corners of the world. It just wouldn't make any sense, right? So I think the best way to view Strong World as well as all of the other movies is that these are all what if scenarios. What if situations? What if the Straw Hats met this character, this canon character, and how would they, go about beating him or interacting with them, right? But I do also want to mention one other thing that I think everyone should understand at least. If the movie is written by Oda or has heavy influence by Oda in some sort of way, the interactions the Straw Hats have with each other, those are canon. Those are, the canon interactions that they do have with each other. Film Z, I don't personally think that because there's some weird Sanji line that I just, if you ever seen Film Z, it's a really horrible line, and I just do not think Sanji will ever say that, right? But in Strong World, the interactions the Straw Hats have with each other is canon because that's literally Oda writing that. In Film Gold, I made a video about this, how Oda changed the ending to Film Gold, right? The whole thing where Tazora captures Nami and Luffy telling him to let her go, and then there's that parallel scene between the two, right? That is written by Oda, so that interaction, that the way Luffy felt, the way Nami, felt, and all that stuff, those are actual interactions that are, or you should at least see as canon. But the events of the movies are not. That's what I mean by when I say what if movies. So I at the end of the day, you can believe what you wish. If you want to use these movies in some sort of debate, it probably would not go so well because using these movies in the debate can be viewed as just filler, that you're just trying to use filler to try to claim whatever you wish, right? But at the end of the day, I think Strong World is partly canon, such as Shiki, such as the Straw Hats interactions. Those are canon, right? Those are canon because Oda had heavy influence on those, and Shiki is also in the manga as well. Now, is it a possibility that Oda would introduce Shiki into the main story? Now, I think with regards to what happened recently in chapter 1131, I think there is a possibility, there is a chance, because Oda apparently is using some of the monsters that you see in the movie, you know, in the actual chapter. So there might be some sort of connection. We also have that silhouette of that mysterious individual who's apparently waiting for the Straw Hats in Wano, who may kind of resemble Shiki. It's a possibility. Who knows? I mean, Oda can definitely insert Shiki at any point, because Shiki is a canon character that has always existed in the canon manga world, right? But will it involve Shiki at all in Elbaf? We don't know. There's still always a possibility Oda might do it. Some might change to the point where Strong World is, retcon, and Strong World, apparently, according to Oda himself, that you could force, into believing the film is canon, but it just wouldn't still make sense. So it could completely change Strong World if Oda decides to put Shiki into the manga itself. So who knows? I do think Oda has the ability to do so, but it's always up to him whether or not and how he incorporates it at the end of the day. So we'll see. So yeah, again, let me know what you think about Strong World's canoncy. And I think that the best way to view it is, again, what if scenarios for these movies, right? So let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Like the video, and I would love to talk to you down below in the comments. So let me know what your thoughts are, and thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Bye bye.